Okay, so mine was, I sent an email, but T-Mobile just got a verdict and got $4.8 million in a breach of contract suit with one of their suppliers. I can't pronounce it. It's the HUI or HUAWEI smartphone producer, and they had a contract to supply T-Mobile with their smartphones, and a couple of the employees from this Hui company came in and took pictures of a robot that T-Mobile had developed to test smartphones, and actually took one of the fingers that had sensors and stuff in it and took it back to Huey, and they redesigned their robot so that it would match T-Mobile. And Huey actually admitted that these guys did something they shouldn't have done, and but they didn't think there were any losses from it, and they fired the guys. And it's taken 4 years for the trial to come about, and so T-Mobile was awarded the breach of contract damages because they had to, after the security was breached, they had to go find other suppliers for their smartphones. It was the best I could find at the time, but I don't really like it because I was trying to figure out some questions that would go along with that, and I just don't think there's enough meat there to have some kind of plausible wrong answers in the question. But whatever you guys think.
That's another good one. The one that I had come up with, it was St. Paul. So in Minnesota, their commercial railway, it was neglected by the city. An article states that the suit alleges that the city's use of salt for snow melting that was spread onto the ground around the bridge's piers caused the structure to erode and deteriorate. It also claims that the city failed to properly design a drain system under the bridge, causing salty water to pool under the structure. So based on this implied alleged breach of contract, they're suing the city of St. Paul for $440,000 for construction costs, as well as the amount of money that they would be losing for the duration of the time the bridge would be out. So that was mine, just that they were...
I like that because there's lots of different ways that we can say, you know, where was the contract breached? Can they get, you know, the damages for when they have to be down? I like that one.
True. My article that I found was, it was where Douglas Elliman, he filed a $1.8 million lawsuit against Taylor Swift. He claimed he had a written exclusive promise to represent Swift in the purchase of a property. And the proof was in an email to the agency from Swift's team that stated that they were working with him solely regarding the viewing and any other needs at this property. He feels he's entitled to the 6% commission he would have been paid at the end of the deal, and she should have paid judgment, interest, costs, and may be deemed fair. He introduced her team to the owners of the property, and then he heard nothing for months. So he figured they decided on another property. Then 7 months later, he found out that Swift had actually purchased this property using another broker. So.
Well, that sounds like a pretty clear-cut one to me, too. I mean,
yeah,
I like that it was in an email because it shows that it doesn't have to be like in a legal contract type thing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I'd want the commission.
Yeah. Well, cool. I like stuff. I like it. I like this one. Seems pretty straightforward. Seems like it could be easy to get a couple of extra questions.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to come up with questions on this topic, I thought. I don't know.
Well, I think I like Jeremy's that it's an implied contract, a part of the substance of the case is implied that the city would provide, proper drainage. It wasn't written anywhere, but that's just something that, you would assume that if you're providing a railway space, that it would have proper drainage so that you wouldn't have, a problem with the rails being destroyed. So I kind of like Jeremy's for that reason, because I'm with you, Valerie. I could come up with maybe one more question,
right?
For yours, but I think there's a lot of substance in Jeremy's question that would lead to a lot of good questions that I think would be good on the quiz.
Yeah.
So like the implied part, what is a breach of an implied condition valid to receive damages? That's something that, we could use. Is the process that the city goes through to control the snow and ice, is that and it's detrimental to the railroad, is that something that something the city does in the normal course of their work impacts somebody else? Is that a valid reason to seek damages? Is that a breach of contract? I think there's a lot of different ways that we could go with that one, but we might be getting in over our heads with it too.
I don't know how. Being this is just an intro class, I don't know if the cities, what they do to keep their citizens safe and the roads clear, is like a viable lawsuit.
Yeah.
I think every city is going to be different as well.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. And I think the reason I assumed it was implied just because they were suing them for damages, and it's not like they can really work without that railway either.
Right. So do we want to do that and get in a little deeper, or do we want to go with Valerie's, which is pretty straightforward? And
I think we should do, in my opinion, I think Valerie's, because I don't think we should try to go too deep like it is. It is an intro class, and then kind of messes everyone else up who has to take the review quiz when we're going super deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, because there were a couple of questions on the review quiz this week that I was like, oh, I think that's more than what we covered. I mean, it was almost like it was going along with this week's reading. Did you guys feel like that too?
Well, yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, then let's do Valerie's. And so our initial question, you did the initial question on your email, didn't you, Valerie?
Yeah, but I kind of guessed at where we wanted to go, but I don't know.
Well, I have this set up.
Okay.
So will be, so the first incorrect answer we'll do no. Maybe
it wasn't binding because an email.
No,
it was an email, no signed contract.
Yeah,
I don't know.
An email is not a legal.
You can call for a legal contract.
Feedback. Say it is written, written proof of intent.
How about electronic written material is considered the same as?
Yeah.
Under that, do we need to put that thing in, that whatever
that statute of frauds or something? I don't know.
What it was, or was that something I read from my other? I think I'm thinking of something I read from my other class, but there was some kind of electronic thing that said that it's okay to sign electronically now.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Nowadays, it's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So incorrect.
We could throw something in about the other broker, because didn't it say that there was another broker that they were going to use?
Yeah, they actually used another broker.
Well, what about pulling something in there about him not mitigating the damages? If he just sat around for 6 months waiting for her to buy this property and didn't do anything to, you know, try to go out and get another client, but they were saying that real estate is one of the things that's a unique thing. Mm-hmm. So would that, you know, could they say, well, because he was there isn't another property that could have replaced the one that she was interested in?
Well, I think since it said that he like showed her the place, had her meet the people, he did all the legwork and she liked it, and then she just had somebody else, like, he did the work for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So if she was sold on it, like, just because somebody else came in and she talked to her, like, you know what I mean? Like, if she was going to buy it, like, I don't think this other guy would have just talked her into it. I think she knew that she wanted it.
I got to go, guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay. Talk to you next week.
Okay.
All right. So let's do no. The other broker had just as much of a right, or
I don't know.
So we could do the other broker had more intent than the previous seller. I don't know. It doesn't really say much about the broker, though.
I don't know. We might say something like, no, because we should be able to pick who we want to work with. I don't know.
Oh, that would work.
Yeah.
And an email isn't assigned.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. No. Well, I don't know, because, like, did it say the outcome of the lawsuit, or he's still in it?
No, it's still ongoing. They're waiting on a court date.
Okay, because, like, I feel like the email, like, hey, I'm working solely with you, you know, it'd be, like, good. But then at the same time, like, if they didn't have, like, an actual contract written up, like, I don't know if you'd be able to win.
Yeah. I don't know. I would think the email would be binding.
Yeah. I mean, I think so, too. If he has an email from them saying, hey, I'm only working with you, and any other needs, like, that's pretty straightforward about it. So
we could put, let's see, is the binding example damages? No, because he didn't mitigate them by, you know, acquiring more sales or something. I don't know. He didn't mitigate the damages, or maybe we could put, no, because he could have sold other properties. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, a realtor should be selling all products, you know what I mean? But, like, if you have somebody show them a product, you know, and they don't buy it and then they get it from somebody else, like, you know.
Yeah. Or, you know, if he had sold other properties, then maybe those damages should be, you know, taken away from that commission. I don't know. You know, if he'd have mitigated. So if we put no, he didn't mitigate the damages and reduce his other sales during that time frame. I don't know, something. It's hard. Come up with
mitigate the damages by
selling other properties. I don't know.
during the.
I don't know. It was difficult.
Yeah, during the time frame that would work.
Incorrect feedback. The ABC introduced them to the property and owners. Since he was, showing Swift's intent to use his service.
Right. And if he wasn't doing everything they needed, they should have asked him for more, in my opinion. But
yeah.
or actually broken that email by stating, that, hey, you're not doing your job, so we're going to go with a different broker or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. You could put a yes,
like a false
that is an example of damages, but
I don't like the false yes. This sound. I'm not that I'm trying to make it easy, but you know what I mean. Just be a little more straightforward with people.
Yeah.
Be like, no, Swift did not have to inform him of using a different service, of maybe canceling his service.
Yeah.
But if she didn't inform him of canceling his service, wouldn't he still be obliged to the contract?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. No, Swift does not have to inform him of canceling his services. Mm-hmm. So that'd be hey, is this count as damage? No, he doesn't have to tell her he doesn't want to use her services, because maybe during that time period he was looking for places for her. You know what I mean? But he, she wasn't getting back to him. Instead of being when I worked realtor, just I was by my house, I had all kinds of realtors come in and talk to me and be like, oh, we can do this for you, you know what I mean? But I never was hey, yeah, I'll use your service. But the one I did, you know what I mean? We had it was part of the stipulation, hey, if you think you're not working out or whatever, you know what I mean? There's a clause that'll let me, you just have to cancel my service, But you can't just, if you're using their service, you can't just not tell them, so they keep working for you.
Gotcha.
Or we could have put, no, Swift's not liable because it was one of her team that signed the email and not her, or something like that. I don't know.
But who knows? That very well could be the way the case ends up. So yeah. I'd rather do a little more obvious things than something that really could get her off the hook, and then you know what I mean. Sorry. Looking for her email where it says, "We're working solely with you."
Yeah, it's the second? Or
I thought it said
represent.
Oh.
Are working with you solely regarding the viewing and any other needs at this property.
The email shows Swift's intent to use
I don't know, or maybe she thought the statute of limitations had run out after 7 months.
No, there's no way.
Purchase that property. Yeah, intend to use his services to acquire that property or something.
service to acquire the fee property. Is proof that they had a contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. And then do I add the? I know I asked this last week, and I should remember at least once this semester. The video or the recording for this goes on. Is it the
discussion board?
Discussion.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. All right. Cool. Well, I'll save this. We're group 2, lesson 5 though. Okay. Cool.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well. Cool. I'll submit this and then do the this video too. So.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week.
Next week.
Okay. See
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.